Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome. It's Sunday, and that can only mean one thing: the doubleheader of Weekend Warriors here on Apex Racing TV, kicking things off with the Formula Fords, the absolutely iconic VIR of Virginia International Raceway, to give it by its full fat name. It is in fact the full fat course that we're running, of 3.2 miles, 5.2 kilometers. This glorious circuit. I'm Tim Cotswell, Samuli Kumo in the virtual production trailer. Right now I'm joined by Ron Mounds. Well, Ron, I'm going to pick your brains about this place, being a Native American shortly after. Let's just have a quick refresh of what happened last week and where we're at in the championship standings so far this season. First off, we're going to kick things off with Spec 1. And, well, 2 winners, but only one of them is on top of the table. But he's joined there. It's Jason Green with Krishika Banker, who's had 2 second places so far this season. Overstreet, our other winner, she remains in 3rd, but only 10 points behind our joint leaders. McConnell upgraded into Spec 1 and 4th in the championship, doing really, really well, with Jackson, Zerv, Soto, Renders, Carvalho, and Carvalari running out your top 10. Across into Spec 2 now. Wow. Benjamin Harris, he's got 1 race win to his name. It was back at Rudskogen in round 1, but he's still leading the championship, but only by a meager 4 points over our winner last time out at Alton Park only a week ago here on Apex Racing TV. It's Chris Montgomery. And then I tell you what, it's so close, this championship. I know we're early stages of the season. However, Tim Steno is only 2 points behind in 3rd. 3 points behind him is Jeff Saunders in 4th. Who's only a point ahead of Paul Stevens, his fellow countryman, in 1st. He's only another point ahead of Jesse Bottas in 6th. And they've got a bit of a gap to Philip Fernandez, who's 7th, with Palmer, well, 2 Palmers, Kian and Wayne, 8th and 9th respectively. And Sander Rouge running up the top 10. Across into Masters, where can only be one person leading this, and it's Antonio Race. 2 victories out of 2 so far this season, including a Rudskogen in round 1. On the podium overall, finished 3rd, and that is why he has got a healthy, commanding 24-point lead over Jorg Marni, who's managed to 3rd, and then a 2nd last week. Can he go 1 better tonight? Not too far away from finding out. Alan Degassius is in 3rd, then Tom Laurie 4th, tied in back for 4th with Chris Murakami on 123 points. Jim Brewster finished in the podium positions in the championship last season, down in 6th at this early stage. John Tom 7th, then it's Love, Coffee, and wall bolts running up your top 10 there. Now, Ron. We've got qualifying getting underway right now. What's it getting underway? It's nearly 13 minutes deep out of the 20. This circuit, it's a real challenge, I find, especially those last set of corners for me. So tricky, treacherous, camber changes, elevation changes through roller coaster and hog pen. I mean, would you say they're the hardest, or is it just me being awful as usual at driving?
Well, I wouldn't put it like that. I think the word you use to describe this track being treacherous is very true. This track is 20 corners, very challenging, very little room to run or hide if you make any sort of mistake. So it's a very tricky course, but it also leads to some fantastic racing. You've got plenty of overtaking opportunities, and with this very long back straightaway, you're definitely going to have some driver slipstreaming. We're certainly going to see plenty of that in a few hours' time when the Spec Racer Ford race comes. But here in the Formula Fords, one thing that I'll definitely have to keep my eye on is that first series of corners, because with these plucky low open wheel cars, any sort of wheel-to-wheel contact will mean disaster for you. So that'll be something that I have to keep my eye on at the start, but I think there's going to be a fantastic race and awesome track to run here for N3.
Most certainly. It's going to be fascinating to see how these cars get on that long back straightaway, isn't it? Out of Oak Tree, building it all the way up and cresting the hill where you start coming into a roller coaster. It's going to be fascinating to see under racing conditions. Right now, you see on your screen, Dominic Hamder. In fact, we're on board with him. And he has got provisional pole for the moment. So you can really see through turn one those changes to, there's graphical changes to iRacing where you've got a bit of a dry line emerging there. We'll see rain inbound at some point and those changes starting to show effect.
You dare mention the word rain here on iRacing. It's
wow,
kind of it's the boogeyman in the world of iRacing. But yeah, it looks like you got an obvious racing line, even if you aren't running the actual graphical racing line that I know some people have used in iRacing. I remember back in my very early days of starting off sim racing back on Forza Motorsport 4, if you can even call that a sim. It's more of a video game, but still, it's it's kind of a nice little visual aid for these drivers. And one point that I was going to mention, which is kind of funny, is I have done some Formula Ford Weekend Warriors races before, and the last one I did was actually at Belle Isle last season. So to go from a tight, twisty street circuit to a track like VIR is a pretty big difference, but I still think the racing is going to be awesome.
We've seen some absolute classics so far this season, namely last time out at Alden Park. That was definitely one for the ages, well worth going back and watching that one. In terms of our classes, Yugmani, top in qualifying in Masters, he's 6th overall. So you have to go down to 14th to find Benjamin Harris, who's our current championship leader. And of course has picked up, that victory like at Rennsport, looking to make it 2 wins from 3 tonight. Do we have Montgomery with us? No, we don't. So we have the potential of either someone winning, 2 of the opening 3 races, or having 3 winners from 3 in Spec 2. You never quite know really how that one's going to pan out. So just see your Marnie there. Relatively evenly spaced out. Look, our top 4 qualifiers so far in Masters are all going to line up on the left-hand side of the grid. They're 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th. Sorry.
Now that'll be something to keep our eye on. I'm sure those drivers are going to be a little bit aggressive towards the start. Of course, at a track like this where you have a very nice wide start-finish straightaway and plenty of corners to go side-by-side through, you have plenty of room to work with at this track if you want to go side-by-side. And in these tiny little Formula Ford cars, I think we'll see plenty of drivers try and sneak a wheel down the inside going into turn 1.
Sure we will. One driver down in qualifying by his own high standards is Jason Green, currently residing down in 9th right now. So there's something a bit of a look. Kane Lasky, he's quite far down in terms of his standards. He's 13th, currently just behind Antonio Racer. You could argue see him a bit higher up in qualifying, although it's getting like the SRFs this. Getting inside that top 10 in qualifying is becoming harder and harder as the weeks and seasons go by. Yet set times are Kian Palmer and John Toms, although Kian hasn't actually taken to the track yet. John Toms headed out and then headed straight to the pits on his first lap, so not too sure if we're seeing those 2. As we see there is Lasky. I mean, as we head up the hill for the first time, I say up the hill, it's not really too much of a hill, but through Snake and then into 7, 8, and 9 towards southbound. There's, oh, sorry, the one's carried on at Oak Tree. That's Paul Stevens. Yeah, that's going to be, I think, going to be... They're all sticking in the wall right now. There's Antonio Race joining in the fun. I'll get to make my point eventually, Ron. And question to you, in that it's tight through there. Do you think we're going to see people try and, gamble and try and make it too wide on the opening laps? Or do you think play it safe?
Ooh, that is a very tough question. I think we might see some drivers try and sneak a wheel there. I mean, these drivers can be aggressive at times. They all have been racing with each other for quite some time now, so they have a lot of respect for each other. They know how each other tick, basically. We've seen that at the start of the season for Ray Esports, so we saw some of that with that round of the series back a few weeks ago, and I think it'll be no different here with Weekend Warriors. I think plenty of these drivers are going to try, maybe some would call it overly opportunistic moves, but others may just try and justify that and say, hey, look, if you have the speed to try and sneak a wheel coming through any of these corners, I mean, there's certain corners on this track where you can sneak a wheel, certainly going into turn 14, although that is a very challenging braking zone. You might see some moves going into turn 14. You'll definitely see some moves going into turn 1, but I think some drivers may get a little bit impatient with how tight the pack is probably going to be once we hit the race.
We've got under a minute left in qualifying, so the checker flag comes out. Well, a few drivers going to get across the line in time to start their next lap. It's a bit more of a longer lap here in the Formula Fords, though. Our pop time being a 1:58.6, thanks to Dominic Howard. There's Benjamin Harris heading out of pit road, but he's definitely not going to get back around in time to start another flying lap. So drivers do have the option of here in the Weekend Warriors. It's not the usual cold, hard, fast shut that you see, certainly in officials in quite a few leagues too. There is for Bruges. Currently lasting qualifying and a little bit off the pace. Sanders been much improved this last couple of seasons though, so again, someone's a little bit out of position from where they've been. As well, team that what is normally the case here in Weekend Warriors, everyone pretty much maxed out early on. No real improvements going on in these final stages.
I think all of these drivers really got the most out of their equipment. I mean, they had 20 minutes to get the job done. I'm sure a lot of them weren't really trying to wait until the last second to go for a barnstormer of a lap, because I'm sure many of these drivers are still out on track trying to improve in any way you can. But you can see on the bottom of the screen just a lot of drivers in the yellow, a lot of drivers pulling into the pits. So I think the grid that you see on here on the left side of the screen is probably going to be the one that we'll have for tonight.
The only one that was interesting me was Alessandrini, who must have had an incident that last part of the lap, is bailed because he had gone purple in sector 2. Well, I'm not seeing that he's actually come off anywhere, so not too sure what happened to DJ Tool there. There's Harris, who's, well, heading out to another... No, he's down the back straight, but he had come out after the checkered flag had come out, so he won't get to do another flying lap. There's over Street, just looking at where she is right now. Yeah, she would have gone across the line just in time, although not seeing any dramatic improvement from her. Though having said that, it all comes down to what sort of final sector she has had. Currently in 7th. Dipping the wheels onto the grass there, sure that's going to invalidate her lap. And well, goes 2.5 tenths slower than her previous best of 1:59.85. Versus a 1:59.6 being her best. And well, let's wait for the dying seconds of qualifying to tick over now. Everyone just heading down towards pit road. We can get things underway here from VIR. It's a nice little scenic shot there of Philip Fernandez, just casually parked it wrong.
It was a beautiful shot there. It was like something you'd see on National Geographic, if I can spit my words out. It looked like something you'd see in a nature documentary.
Is everyone heading to the pit road now? I mean, I'm just thinking ahead, really, of what's going to happen. Of course, the drivers do have to make a pit stop to take on fuel, something you don't tend to get in the Formula 4. So it always makes it a bit more interesting, and well, and make it a bit more of a gamble. Around here, I mean, we tend to see people try and go as long as possible. Knowing how challenging it can potentially be to overtake around here, do you think maybe it's worth gambling of maybe coming in a bit earlier to pit? I mean, certainly not into the national layout pits there, like Overstreet just heading down to see out the clock. But think it's worth it or not? Just roll it out and go as long as possible.
Oh, well, to be honest with you, I can see both sides of it. I can see drivers trying to take the gamble and just try and get in the clean air, so to speak, and just try and hunker down and get some great lap times in. But I could also see drivers saying, you know what, I'm here on the weekend, I'm here on Sunday here on iRacing. I want to have some fun, I want to have some great wheel-to-wheel racing. So I can honestly see both sides of that.
Well, let's find out. We're not too far away. We're going to have a long outlap as see the Porsche 911 safety car just in pit lane. Drivers lining up behind them. Let's take you through your grid for round 3 here from VIR in season 4 of 2023 for Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, and it is Dominic Hamada returns to the championship, and the Austrian is got pole position. He's joined on the front row by DJ Alessandrini. They've got an all-American second row in the form of Christian Kabanka. 2 second places to his name. Can he go one better tonight? Matt Zerbs is next to him. Row 3. Well, that starts off the line of Spec 1 drivers lining up next to Masters drivers, all on the same side of the grid for their respective classes. Row 3, it's Alexander Wenger with Jorg Marni, your top qualifier in Masters. Then it's Overstreet and Coffee. Making up row 4, your top 10, and row 5, that's Jason Green and Alan Gasius. I mean, Green, well down there in 9th, but definitely the driver with the key to fuel strategy. He's going to need to work his magic to come through the field tonight. Michael McConnell starts next to a double race winner in Masters, Antonio Race, who's 4th in class in terms of qualifying. Then it's Kane Lasky and Benjamin Harris from row 7. Row 8, that's Tom Laurie next to Paul Stevens. Row 9, JJ Busgood and Philip Fernandez, with row 10 and your top 20 being rounded out by Gary Wolbolt and Jeff Jacobson. Sander Verbrugge, the Dutchman, a last person to set a time in qualifying. As John Toms and Kian Palmer not setting times, not too sure whether they're going to join us. We'll find out when everyone heads out onto the grid. I'm trying to have a bit of a look into the background there.
I believe they are.
Yes, I could see John Toms. I couldn't quite make out Kian Palmer. So they all cross the line. No, so it looks like Palmer won't be joining us. Still 22 car grid, Ron, so not shabby at all. I mean, it feels small by Weekend Warrior standards, but I think that just showcases how strong and how popular that the Weekend Warrior series are.
I'll tell you, I think I may get, I guess it's kind of just, I'm so used to doing radical broadcasts here on Apex, where you have about, I don't know, 18 cars at most for those races, even at some of the best tracks. Seeing a 22 car field is pretty damn cool, and I think it will be some pretty interesting racing here. I have to say that I'll have to keep an eye on the race with a fairly disappointing qualifying session, you could say, for him. He qualified a bit farther down, the dual race winner so far this season. I'm sure he's going to try and look to have a good race here, but he'll definitely have to work for it quite hard tonight.
It's going to be tough, isn't it? It's going to be tough. But then never say never, because let's face it, this place, as we've alluded to for it during qualifying, Ron, it can be really, really treacherous, and all it takes is one incident. I mean, we've seen them here before. I've fresh in the memory from last season, Road Atlanta, where we had one incident coming just below the Fox Factory Bridge and the exit of the chicane. And, well, it wiped out 6 of our top 7. So, you never quite know, do you, really? I mean, a bit more runoff compared to that area of the track of Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, compared to here at Virginia International Raceway. However, you still, you've got to have those cat-like reactions, and you never quite know, do you?
I'll tell you, speaking of of previous incidents that have happened at different tracks, this is an incident that happened with a different series, different cars at this exact track. It happened at VIR for the Ray Esports League a few weeks ago. We were running the Pontiac's Solstices, some would call it the Slowstis, but they had a massive crash there at the start after some drivers tried to go 3 wide there in the other touring car race there, and it ended in disaster for quite a few drivers. And if anyone tries to go 3 wide coming into turn 1 at this start, which I wouldn't entirely discount with how small these cars are, I think it might end in very similar fashion. There's very tight and technical sections of this track, and I feel like what this race might be is just a game of survival. There's many places, there's definitely one of them, turn 14. It's a very tricky braking zone, curved a little bit, trying to scrub off speed downhill, and then you go through the roller coaster section trying to apply power downhill. This will be a very tricky section on an entirely tricky race track, and I believe we might see many mistakes from this, so I think we might have a chaotic race. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, indeed, of course. This very section, incident, big incident, last season in the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4, which involved our top 3 being taking each other out completely. Hopefully, we won't see any of that tonight. Let's get ready to go racing for the first time this evening, folks, as we are green and we are away. As Howard going early, leaving everyone for dust, but they all fan out across the track into 2 lines here, down into turn 1. Sandrini adopting that outside line. Cabanca having a look as everyone drifting out wide. Cabanca trying to come alongside Alessandrini here to get himself up into second. Can he get it done, or is he getting hung out to dry? Because Wenger's having a look up the inside, and Cabanca, after going on the attack, could well lose a place here, as albeit that's Paul Stevens around, dropping 6 places, having started 16th, down to 22nd now, and dead last. And while that battle between Wenger and Cabanca losing out, but it has allowed just that bit of fresh air, 6/10 to be precise, to emerge between Alessandrini in second and Wenger in third.
That was a big moment there from Zerbez coming out of turn 6, I believe there. That was coming through the snake section. He nearly put all 4 into the dirt there. That was a massive moment there, but so far everyone's keeping it clean, and everyone's trying to focus on the battles right now. Wenger is, Overstreet. Oh, no, there's another driver going off ahead. I believe that's Wenger and Overstreet have both made mistakes. The drivers there making mistakes pretty much at the exact same time. Overstreet coming through the very tricky South Bend there, and then that was Wenger making a mistake through Oak Tree. So the mistakes catching out some drivers fairly early on.
Yeah, that's surprising. So Jason Green lost a bit of time as well. He's dropped 3 down to 12. As we did have 3 wides down the back straight temporarily. They've sorted themselves out into 2 wide, but it's still not stopping the action. The drama and the excitement as Lasky trying to defend. He wants to get after this group in front of him, but he can't right now because to guess it's McConnell, Harris, Green, Laurie, they're all there. They're all nipping at his heels in this opening stages of the race and the closing stages of the first lap. Can you believe it already? Richard Coffey, another one of those really suffering through that incident. That's, well, Overstreet, Green and Coffey were all there or thereabouts together. So I think they probably had maybe a little bit of a coming together that's caught them out. But it does mean that race is up 5 spots. Lasky, well, he was at 5. That's Sagasius, as I said, he was nipping at his heels and getting the move done as Lasky has another bit of a lunge trying to get the undercut to sneak back up the inside, but his momentum killed off by Degassis.
It looked like Lasky was going to try and take a nibble out of Degas's rear tire there. That was very close to contact there as they went through turn 1. Right now, a very action-packed start. We're going to get a replay to see what happened to Megan Overstreet coming through South Bend. It's a very tricky corner. The track's falling away from you, and yeah, just a big slide there. Oh, boy, that's actually contact as well. I'm not sure who she made contact with, but that is a massive moment coming through South Bend. Unfortunately for Overstreet, it cost her badly. There's another car going off farther behind. Not sure who that was. I believe that was actually... Let me check my live timing screen.
Venger's off. That is Wenger. Oh, and he's lost his front nose cone as well there, Ron. Oh! Wow, that was unanimous, wasn't it?
I believe that was Stevens that was sliding in. Actually, no, that was John Toms. My apologies there. So Toms, who I believe was also involved in that Overstreet incident last lap, is again involved in an incident, this time involving the driver we're seeing now, Wenger, my apologies. And just not sure what the heck happened here. Just a big slide. Ooh, connection issue there. Actually, no, that was hardware issue. My apologies. Just, oh, that's such a shame.
After a strong qualifying race, he's down and out now. We're going to see the big moment. So Tom's had already lost it on approach. And wow. Tom's missed that wrecked car of Wenger there by probably inches or centimeters, whatever system of measurement you want to go by, but that was extremely close there. But fortunately for both of them, they have towed back to the pits and they are done for lack of a better term. Wow, sit rep, what does this all mean? Well, there's our top three, Hamanda, Alessandrigi and Kabanka. Ron could barely contain himself. Sounds like you're falling off your chair there, mate. Over the drama we've had in these opening 2 laps. Yogmani is 4.4 seconds behind this group. Sorry, 3.7 in fact. But is now occupying the best of the rest. And he's a bit of a pocket space by himself. So he's 2.8 seconds against, right in front of, sorry, Antonio Race. Ron, you said he had to, you know, make some big moves. Maybe a bit of luck coming his way, where he's up 7 spots now into 5th. Also up 7. There's the car behind them. There's Kane Lasky into 6th, but he's still got that absolute gaggle. The peloton chasing behind him involves Zerbs, who's got 3 places in this opening lap. Degassis, McConnell, Green, who just cannot make any progress here today. Definitely happened in that early incident involving Overstreet and Coffee. Coffee well down. He's down in 13th, and Overstreet, she retired the car. No, she's keeping going. Wenger retirement, and John Tom's also your retirement. Spec 2, Harris leads that, then it's Fernandez and Verbruge to complete your podium. Of course, Paul Stevens, after running strongly, had an incident in his opening stages and has fallen by the wayside. I see Zerbs right now just trying to fend off Lasky. These two, excuse me, I think, yeah, he's got that move done, so he was not ahead of Lasky. But these two really need to work together, don't they, Ron, if they want to catch up to Antonio Racing them?
Well, as they say, teamwork makes a dream work. I'm sure they're going to have to maybe do a little bit of bump drafting. You don't really see that in Formula Fords, but I think they might have to try and do that to catch up to the drivers ahead. Race has put together a very good race so far. He's doing exactly what I said he needed to do and try and claw through the order, but the teamwork that I said would make the dream work is not happening here between Zerbs and Lasky. They continue to go side by side. It looked like Lasky was trying to look for a move around the outside going into turn 1, but that move did not materialize, and now they've fallen to risk to Degassis behind them, who's now looking to try and get past the both of them. All these drivers are feeling quite racy right now. And for clarification of anyone that may be worried about my well-being, what happened with that strange noise last lap was I picked up a glass of water next to me, and the condensation had actually suction cupped the glass to the coaster, and then as I picked up the glass, a coaster dragged along with it and slammed into my desk. So for any family members watching, no, I did not just pass out. I'm perfectly all right. But whoever makes that coaster, do better.
See, even the coaster's gripping on for dear life here at VIR. It's in anticipation of what we're experiencing here today. That is Tom Lorry, currently 4th in Masters, running on board with him right now. Of course, the driver that, well, synonymous with Spec 2, but decided to have a bit of a birthday and become another year older, which meant he got to join the fun in Masters. Richard Coffey, another one. He's also his teammate. It's the old guard who have come of age. As I've just spotted for that, Zerbs has caught and passed Antonio Race, and there goes Kane Lasky steaming through on the outside.
I gotta wonder what happened here with Race. Maybe he made some kind of mistake. I mean, that gap was still fairly manageable there at the start of the lap. He must have had some massive moment there that led to him dropping down the order like a rock, losing 2 positions and losing quite a lot of time. We're gonna get a replay here to see the pass. I think no, might not have been a mistake there from Race. I think he was just kind of a fish out of water there and was stuck getting slipstream past as it went down the back straightaway. So Race losing 2 positions there.
You say that wrong. Just looking at his laptop, so Degassis is his past race as well off camera. There you go, there's the aftermath of it. So last time around, he was over a second slower, while the Degassis and about 1.4 seconds slower than Zerbs and Lasky. So maybe, just maybe, maybe a bit of damage or something affecting the car right at this stage of a race. I mean, it's the only thing I can really think of. Kabanka setting the fastest lap last time around. As we're on to lap 5, 9 minutes nearly as damn it complete here. They far out of the 40 as Laurie gonna get smooth past Harris here, gets the move done.
Some bold overtakes there. We don't really expect to see too many overtakes going into the very tight and twisty section there, but that driver, Laurie, manages to get past. That was a very gutsy move, but worked out for him.
Well, I mean, we questioned, didn't we, whether we'd see 2 wides through there. And Tom Laurie saying, oh, might be. Watch this as he sneaked his way past Benjamin Harris at this stage of the race. And there's Jason Green getting the move done on Michael McConnell. Green now up into 9th, back to where he started, but still well down and work to do to try and catch up with Antonio Race, who now lies at the back of that group behind the chasing pack. It's led by Zerbs, then Lasky, then Degassis, then, of course, he was just mentioned, Antonio Race, who seems to have settled in a little bit now. Everyone's come past him.
That is just a very bad lap there. I mean, we didn't get a chance to see what happened there. I think it might not have been just one specific mistake. I think you brought up the point there of damage. I mean, there's really only like 7 components on a Formula Ford car. So if you damage any single one of them, you're in very hot water. That's exactly why Megan Overstreet has dropped down the field so badly after the issue we saw with her. She hasn't really been able to reclaim any of that time. But despite any damage or mistakes that Reese has made, he is not showing the pace that he showed once before. He was running in the top 5 as now struggling to get past Degassis here to move into P7 overall and P2 in that Masters category.
It's looking at his lap times, Ron. Definitely struggling right now with the car. Not in a happy place. Unless he's playing something a bit crafty here. I mean, he's a wily old fox, this Antonio Race. That's why he has won 2 races from 2 so far this season in Masters, including one of them being a podium over the Crawl, like a Rennsport. So, you know, he knows what he's up to. And hopefully, it's a bit of crafty fuel saving here to try and leap himself up the table like a salmon almost. As behind Degassis. That says to me, it's all just in front of us. 2 wide Zerbs on Lasky. And Lasky on, well, driver's left for now, but he gets the move done over Zerbs. That change around for 5th. So Lasky, I said well down in qualifying. He's up 8 spots already. In the highest position climber so far. As we're not too far away from heading out onto lap 7. It feels like a bit of hesitation on the road, just listening in while speaking there, Ron. From Race. Just almost a little, you know, not feeling at one with the machine right now, I think, for Antonio Race.
Yeah, that is a very good point. You can just hear it in the way he's applying that throttle. Does not have a whole lot of confidence in his race car, but that could possibly be fuel saving. I know you did mention that briefly, and right as I was saying that he might not feel confident in his race car, he is once again getting challenged this time by Degassis and also Green as well. So this battle is heated up quite nicely here, but I gotta wonder what on earth is going on with Race right now. We've mentioned a whole bunch of things. Maybe he has damage, maybe he made a mistake, maybe he's saving fuel and trying to stretch it until he can approach that pit stop in this race. Who knows? This is just bizarre that we're seeing right now from Race. He was showing incredible pace very early on, but right now he has dropped back, and right now it's like a rolling roadblock. You can see he's just, Degassis is probably feeling very frustrated, trying to find a way to get past Race. We might see a move going down the back straightaway, but as you pointed out, he is not seeming very confident in that Formula Ford race car of his.
Moving down towards Oak Tree, which no longer exists finally here on iRacing. It took them 10 years. Just 10. And behind Jason Green, well, Disagree. I think we're going to see Antigassis lose a place here. Well, I think. It's already happening, Ron.
Yeah, it's just green is it's the power of the slipstream and power of a great exit. That is probably one of the most important corners in all of racing, with how long that back straightaway is. If you get a good exit coming out of Oak Tree, you are setting yourself up quite nicely. But if you make a bad mistake there, either have a little bit of kick out action trying to get on throttle or anything, you are done for. So I don't know, maybe if the FIA gets a hold of this track, they might add a giant sausage curb on the inside, so we might see some more bad runs through that corner. But yeah, I think that might have been the reason why DeGassis just lost that position there. Not the best exit of the world, and never mind that, we actually have pit stops coming. This is Coffee pulling in.
It's early, but I mean, having said that, you know, he's only a couple of laps away from half race distance, isn't he? Just a length of the lap here. Pretty much this sort of average lap time at the moment, this stage of the race. Looking at around about 2:01s roughly, although our top 5 opening 1:59 still. As yes, Coffee into the pits for his mandatory stop. How far can he go? Of course, the drivers do have one fast repair to their name. I know Overstreet has popped in and taken hers, but she will have to stop again. Eventually, she's coming up onto the back of JJ Busgood, the Dutchman, currently in 18th. So Coffee fueled up, ready to go. Where will he finish? He is the benchmark, down in 20th. So last of our running cars. However, let's driver to stop, and let's make about brump drafting, Ron. I'm waiting for it to engage. I'm not too sure if it's actually going to go between our top 2. On board with Alessandrini, Hamada just in front of us, and well, just behind us is looming large Christian Kabanka.
Like the engage quote there. It's kind of like a Talladega Nights reference, perfect for NASCAR currently racing at Talladega as we speak. Slingshot engaged. We'll see if Alessandrini can try and find any way to get past Hamada up ahead. He has been very close, is still extremely close, but I think Alessandrini had the opportunity to sneak past there going down the start-finish straightaway, but if my ears did not deceive me, I think Alessandrini tried to get off the gas a little bit. I think he is very happy sitting in the slipstream. He's probably getting great fuel mileage right now.
Your ears does not deceive you unless they're deceiving mine at the same time, Ron. I heard that big lift too. Well, there it goes. And turning race into pit road. Meanwhile, on track, seeing Laurie and McConnell go to battle all over 9th place. Laurie just getting it done eventually, and hold tight there. As the bucking Bronco is forming a Ford. Just about manages to hold on for dear life, but he squeezes McConnell, who, despite that big moment for Laurie, can't get quite alongside on this contact.
No!
As he tried to shut
just
the
barely
door.
into the wall.
I mean, you can see it brewing. Laurie tried to shut the door in his face, and well, I think a bit of netcode assisted McConnell in making contact with Laurie. Yeah,
that was about a foot separation. If it wasn't for netcode, they probably would have made it through there without as nearly as catastrophic an incident there for Laurie. Thankfully for him, he avoids major contact with a wall. I thought he was going to keep it rolling at first. I saw that car spin around. I was thinking, if he manages to keep that thing rolling in a straight line after that massive moment, that would be the save of the century there. But unfortunately for him, he nudges a wall a little bit, and that's going to cost him badly at probably the most inopportune time, right towards the start of the race. Of course, we're 17 minutes in, but we're still fairly close to the start of the race, and there's still plenty of time to play for, but that incident is going to cost him badly.
well, they're still glued together, our top 3. For me, it's Alison. Well, I'm not sure. We know what Alessandrini's up to. It's what Kabanka's up to. Whether he's fuel saving as much as Alessandrini is able to. There's Zerbs into pit road. Now, of everyone who has stopped so far, of course, Antonio Race has come out ahead of Coffee, but then he was well ahead of him anyway on track. In fact, he's just passed JJ Busgood. That's for position. Overstreet making progress. Well, up in 16th, although 2 of those places are due to pit stops happening. The last time around,
There's
Salandrini set the
believe-
fastest lap of the race for them.
Yeah, I think he is. I can't tell if this is just patience here from Alessandrini, or is it's very smart racing. I'm sure the slipstream isn't the strongest in the world in these small little plucky Formula Ford cars, but I'm sure he'll probably. I mean, if he stays behind and then pits the same lap that Hamilton does, that would be a very strange call. So I'm sure Alessandrini is going to try and stretch that fuel a little bit more. You can see how close they are going down the back straightaway. So Alessandrini definitely has the pace to get past and hold on to the lead of this race. I think he just wants to get the better fuel mileage.
You say that, although you could come in with him and just take the short of, less fuel on board. At the moment, it appears to me like Alessandrini cannot lose out of this situation, and Hamada can't win out of it. I mean, unless he gets done for speeding in the pits. We saw that last Skogan in the season opener. And that was in the SRS, not in the Fallen Fords, albeit, but we did see that happen. But still, Kabanka, for me, is the interesting one out of these 3, because I'm not too sure what he's up to.
I think he's just kind of like, he's basically in no man's land right now. I don't think he has a pace to contend with Alessandrini. I say that Alessandrini actually dropped back quite badly there going into turn 3. So actually, I believe that was technically on the other track map, at least. Actually, no, that is turn 3. Need to get my quarter numbers correct there. So he dropped back a little bit, but has closed right back up to Hamilton. So it's just, you might listen closely here. Yeah, another big lift, another massive lift there as they approach turn 7. So I think Alessandrini is playing his cards perfectly here. Meanwhile, Kabanka right behind is just kind of, he's in no man's land right now, but I will say a man who is in no man's land is Monty behind in 4th, the leader of the Masters right now. He is about 11 and a half seconds off the lead, but he's still about 6 seconds clear of the next car behind him, of Lasky, so he's kind of in no man's land right as these 3 continue to pull away. It's a little bit of teamwork here, even though they aren't on the same team. It's just some very crafty racing here, certainly from Alessandrini, who is placing his car in the perfect position to set himself up nicely for the rest of this race.
And when you mentioned about, that lead that Marnie has, he's still, 6.5 seconds clear of Kane Lasky. In terms of Masters, the next driver is Alan Degassius. He's roughly about 9 seconds nearest Dammit up the road from him. He's in a lovely, lovely, comfortable place. Is the Swiss driver. But, as we said before, it takes a big incident between these 3, and they are as close as you like. You put a perennial blanket over them. And also interesting how Hamada, he completely, as much as he's allowing Alessandrini to slipstream, he's also completely and utterly covering off that inside line. This is under Rouge talking about inside line. That's the inside of the track there. Luckily, there's no track furniture there. It's not going to come off worse with an incident against a wall or tyre barrier or something like that. So there's green on to Gassius. Gassius is still ahead of him. He's had a bit of a topsy-turvy race, hasn't he, Alan Gassius? In fact, actually, no, apologies. He has just passed Jason Green.
That was a simple move there, just going down the start-finish straightaway. Was probably just able to slipstream, a very textbook move there from Degassis. But as you mentioned, he is still quite a long ways behind Manny, still about 9 seconds separating those drivers. It's actually stretching closer to 10 seconds now. So just Degassis is probably going to have to hope for a miracle if he wants to take the Masters win here. But right now it's looking very good for Manny. But meanwhile, farther behind, the gap in S2 is extremely far away. You can see Harris in P8 right now is the leader in S2, and then looking farther behind, the next closest car in the category is basically about a half a lap behind. So right now, Benjamin Harris is probably the most comfortable on this field.
Well, Philip Fernandez has pitted, whereas Harris hasn't. Fernandez currently third in class. As you mentioned, Rob, all the way down in 16th, however. That could play, you know, part of it, but he's got nothing to lose, this Harris. I mean, before the pit stops, he was still ahead of him. Not quite as comfortably as it was what it is now, but I'll keep half an eye on their lap times as well. These three, near identical, lap after lap after lap. However, Alessandrini, looking here, we haven't seen this for the past 12 laps. We're seeing it on lap 13, 24 minutes gone. As Alessandrini, the American, takes charge of proceedings and heads into the lead. Walker back and following through. Yes to that, folks. No, he won't, but bit of a twitch there from Hamada.
I think one thing that these drivers will see in their future, not only is Hamada now seeing the back of another car, which he hasn't seen throughout all of this race really, as has been in the lead for a vast majority of it, but right now he's getting used to the back of Alessandrini's car. But I think what all three of these drivers are going to have to get used to is going down the pit road, because I think these drivers are definitely going to be eyeing up their only pit stop in this race, because I'm sure these, I mean, you got to imagine that Alessandrini went for the move there just to kind of stretch out the gap a little bit, you can say, before they went into the pit stops. But I think he was just very opportunistic there and grabbed the move when he could. He didn't go for anything aggressive. And one thing that you see up ahead that may drive these drivers into the pits is a few lapped cars farther up the road. So I think maybe this lap, possibly next lap or the lap after that, certainly in the not too distant future, we'll have those drivers pit in. And now one driver that did pit in is Fernandez, who is now spun around coming out of the final corner.
Nice, so definitely, well, Hamada back into the lead there, Ron. Coming down the back straightaway into roller coaster, gets it done, back into the lead. But again, it plays into Banker's hands. Will they come in this lap? Let's find out. Hamada,
he faked this.
He did. I thought he was coming in. He had me fooled.
Pulled off the dummy on the both of us, because I was looking at that. I was like, ooh, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Nope, he just pulled off the perfect dummy there, and right now he is still maintaining the lead. Alessandrini looked for the move going around the outside of the first corner, but I'm sure, I got to imagine that these drivers are going to have to pit in the next two laps, you would have to say, probably at the end of this lap, because at this point, a vast majority of the field has pit, including DeGassis, who's now going down pit road. But I think these drivers are going to have to pit. But the real question is, are they going to pit as a pack? Are they going to all pit together? Or are they going to pit separately? If one of these drivers stay out, I think it will actually hurt them in the grand scheme of things, because they won't have the slipstream to help tow them along down that massive back straightaway. So I think these drivers are all going to have to pit together. That'll be a very intriguing round of pit stops, certainly with these three here, because whoever has the slowest pit stop, whoever has had the best fuel mileage, whoever can get off of pit road the first, will definitely be in a very good position to get the win. And that was Alessandrini looking to pull off a bump and run as they went into turn 11 and then going into Oak Tree. Both of them doing a little bit of lawn mowing on exits. So I think patience are running a little bit thin between all these drivers, as Alessandrini is looking for the move there on Hamada going down the back straightaway. The patience is running thin for these drivers, but I think they also see the pit stops nearing. This is going to be a very crucial stage of the race for all of these drivers.
Alessandrini back out in front, and Ron, you answered the question I was just about to ask you. You know, sure, big switch, big moment for Alessandrini. Holds it to go and remains in first place. But now, potentially, is anyone going to come in? 27 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock. Hamada pulls in. Wow. We get to find out what raw pace he has got. Was he holding the other two up and allowed them to fuel save? Or can he go it alone and get the job done here at VIR and carry his way to victory? It's heading on the pit lane there, goes over street. She's in for what is her second stop of the day, of course. Damage induced first stop to use her fast repair. As Yugmani in too, so's Lasky, and so is Green. And so that's McConnell, I think, in the background there. Yes, it is. Benjamin Harris heads into pit road as well. Other than that, everyone else has stopped. So, Alessandrini Cabanca have got an extra lap of mileage out of the tanks compared to the rest of the field.
Now they've got Toms as lap traffic, very distant lap traffic, so I'm sure they might come into the pits at the end of this lap to really avoid having to deal with him up ahead. So we'll just have to see. Both of those drivers are in very good positions right now. I'm sure they're going flat out right now, trying to use all they can, all the muster they have in their cars to try and go as fast as they can and hopefully try and come out with the pits, come out of the pits after everything's all said and done with the lead. You can see Tom's pulling over to the sideline both of those drivers by. He was quite significantly slower than them. They were catching up at quite a decent rate of knots. So right now those drivers have a clear shot. We'll have to see if they decide to make that hard right turn to pull into pit road. And now we have Laurie making another mistake, I believe, coming through the final corner. Actually, no, that was Fernandez that made the mistake earlier, and another driver making a mistake. And there was a driver making a mistake that I believe there's Tom's actually spinning coming through turn 14. He is towards the back of the field, so that won't really play much of a role here. But there's Laurie stuck on the side of the track while we're riding on board with Alessandrini, who actually pulls into the pits, and he takes his partner in crime with him. This will be very important. We'll have to keep an eye on these two as they rejoin the track, and we'll also have to keep our eye on the at one time leader of this race. Looking through the live timing screen, Hammander is about 40 seconds behind, so we'll have to see if this is a good pit stop for them. I'm sure it might be a little bit quicker since they were in the slipstream for most of that, so I think they might have to take a little less fuel. We'll just have to wait and see how these drivers exit the pits.
Well, they've got one lap less fuel, essentially, that they will need, Ron, haven't they? And, it's enough to last them, the next 9 minutes and probably 30 seconds by the time they come out of pit road. There is Hammander. There goes Alessandrini Cabanca. So they get back up and running again. Just keep your eyes peeled to that right-hand side. Where is Hammander? And he's nowhere to be seen. Right, well, just in the distance there, Ron. And that has cost him 3.2 seconds, 3.25 seconds, and largely that's all come down to the fact Hammander was stationary for 4 seconds longer. Now that's interesting. So he's stationary for 4 seconds longer, but he's come out of the pits actually, effectively 4.1 seconds. Oh yes, off the lead. So no, sorry, 3.3 seconds behind Cabanca. So yeah, okay. He's lost about, well, he's actually gained 7 tenths on them by being by himself.
I gotta wonder how the outlap was for him. I was kind of going to mention that as he pulled in. I was gonna say how he'll definitely have to keep our eyes on. Oh, there's Megan Overstreet making a mistake coming through Oak Tree. Not sure what happened there, but that would be something important for Hammander's race. Was did he have any clean air? Did he have any tow on that lap? Because obviously the tow is very important with pretty much no downforce to speak of in these Formula Fords. Being close to another car is very important because you can get that slipstream going down this very long back straightaway. So I think maybe if Hammander had that slipstream effect on his ad lap, he probably would have been a little bit closer. But as you said, I think that was definitely a great... It turned out very nicely for Alessandrini, who was definitely in command of that. You said he pretty much put himself in the catbird seat to take the lead and possibly even the win, but it's definitely not over yet. Cabanca is still pretty close. He is holding line astern there with Alessandrini, but still Alessandrini pulled that off quite nicely. It's advantage him, and unfortunately I won't call it a disaster because he's still running in the final podium position, but it's still a very disappointing way things have turned over the last 15 minutes with Hammander.
Yeah, Cabanca, when he came into the pits run, he was about 3 tenths behind now. He has just closed that gap up thanks to the back straight and the front straightaways here at VIR being, quite close to one another. But he had crossed the rest of the lap, dropped a couple of tens against Alessandrini last time around. Will it be the same this time? As you say, Hammander, I think he's out of the equation. Just keep me up to date as we've got 7 minutes left of racing here from VIR. From the Weekend Warriors. Yugmani, he's comfortably leading Masters at 4th overall, with Degasius and Race 7th and 8th overall respectively. That's pretty well spaced out, and looking like that's going to finish as things are. Spec 2, well, I say looking like they're going to finish how they are, and that is Degasius around And in doing so, Antonio Ray saying thank you very much. I'll have second place in Masters off you as well. There goes Philip Fernandez, who was in second in class as well.
It's just been disastrous for the past like 15 minutes for him. He had a spin early on during the round of pit stops that cost him badly coming out of the final corner, and that was a mistake coming through turn 14. I believe we'll get a replay here to see what happened. Actually, no, there's DeGasses coming into turn 1. We'll get a replay here to see what happened. Just a simple mistake, I believe, here. It's very tricky for these cars, and just small little bit of oversteer action coming into the corner, and that caught up to him badly by the time he hit the apex.
Well, here's what happened to Fernandez. So we're going to head through into roller coaster. Let's take a little look at this, Ron. Going to leave the rear on the switchback. Oh, no, just carry straight on. Just understeer for days.
And that's I don't believe that was actually understeer. I believe he had a small little bit of kick-out action, too much oversteer to actually make it into the next corner. Unfortunately for him, he spears off the track, spins off a little bit, and sadly for him, that will end in total disaster. That turn 14 is always very tricky regardless of what car you're running in, whether you're running in these tiny, plucky little Formula Fords, whether you're running in a Spec Racer Ford, whether you're running in a GT3 car, or even a prototype for that matter. This track is very tricky, and it's bringing out the worst in some of these drivers, as we're seeing more mistakes here, this time with Megan Overstreet and the other driver involved in there didn't get a chance to see. Verbruge making a mistake there coming through turn 3. Let's see what happened here.
Well, more crucially, it was our lead group as well that was just about coming from Overstreet. Just lost it in sympathy to Verbruge, who lost it under pressure. And then flies through our lead group, who just arrived at the scene of the accident. Wow, luckily too late for them. Oh, wow, that's Verbruge losing again as well.
Yeah, that was coming out of turn 9, I believe. That was a massive moment there. Luckily, Megan Overstreet avoided that. It might have been a good thing that they had that slide early on in the lap, because if that happened with these lead cars right there, that probably would have ended in disaster for the leaders. So good fortune there for the other front pack drivers, but very tough there for Verbruge to have 2 major moments in the span of about 30 seconds.
Zerb's on Stevens. Zerb's trying to defend there. Had a disastrous race by Matt Zerb's own standards. He's down 10 spots, having started 4th, currently running 14th out on track. And well down in class as well, 8th in class. I mean, Alessandrini, I saw he was got really loose at the rear coming out of Oak Tree. I wonder if he's struggling with those rears, because Cabanca's reeled him in. And since he's reeled him in, he's, well, maintained that gap at pretty much 2 tenths. So we head out onto what's going to be lap 19. Yes, it is. And we have got 3.5 minutes left on the clock. So we've got this lap, and then they take the white flag. 1 lap left to go here from VIR. If you're Cabanca, how do you play this? Wait and go for it on the next lap? I mean, it just seemed like Alessandrini's a little bit skaty right now, Ron.
Yeah, I think it's Alessandrini is probably feeling the pressure. He's had a very fast race car, but right now Cabanca, who I said a few moments ago, was really in no man's land pace-wise. He is definitely showing that he has a pace to contend with Alessandrini in the final 2 laps here. I think he's going to try and apply pressure, and I don't think forcing a move would really be the biggest thing. And I say that they are closing up quite nicely, coming through the S's there, but I think the way I see it is I think Cabanca should just try and apply pressure to the back of Alessandrini and get a slide like he had there coming through South Bend. That was a massive moment there for the driver of the number 26 car to have a big slide like that coming through South Bend, going downhill really at basically full speed, and to keep that going, that was unbelievable there. That was a massive moment, but Alessandrini keeps it going, but it's not over yet. Cabanca, what I think he needs to do is just apply pressure to the back of the driver ahead of him and just hope to God you can draw a mistake out of him, because that would be really important to try and just have a very easy last lap, you could say.
Head in favour in the throttle, Ron. Down the back straight away, Cabanca. And like you say, just needs to keep in there, because Alessandrini right now, well, he needs to be soaking up the pressure, like following his breakfast after a night on the beers, but seems to be just a few fried mushrooms short there. As he tries to hold on to victory. White flag in the air. 1 lap left remaining here from VIR. Who takes it? Will it be Alessandrini? Will it be Cabanca? We're going to sort it out in turn 1. Cabanca to the inside.
Whoa, no, there's contact.
And he's around. Alessandrini off. Wheels. And there goes Hamada. He's up into second.
Oh, I don't think that was definitely in either of their playbooks there. And now he's going to get passed here by Megan Overstreet because that, you can see sparks flying there. Alessandrini, they made contact. They had interlocked wheels there as they went through turn 1, and Alessandrini has damage on that front end. That is a crippled Formula Ford car. That was absolute disaster for him.
Ron, I've had to sit down on the creaky chair because we could stand a chance potentially with how damaged Alessandrini is for the second time this season having a Masters drive finish on the podium. Oh, he's lost the rear on entry to Cabanca. And, well, Alessandrini tried to keep his car there, but just couldn't quite open it up enough as Cabanca was trying to hold on to things. Now, 10 seconds. That was about 25 seconds Marnie was behind Alessandrini, sorry.
I think that'll close up quite fast. Yeah, it's closing up rapidly.
We could have York Marnie on the podium overall. Only just winning Masters, it's 7 seconds, it's 6.5 seconds, it's 6 seconds the gap as Alessandrini trying to limp this one home here. Fernandez has another spin, but Cabanca just needs to bring this one home now. 1 second in fact. Hamada pushing hard late on here, but Cabanca just needs to bring this one home. He will claim victory here from VIR in round 3 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. Hamada second. What is happening? It's down to 3 seconds. The gap on Marnie on Alessandrini. Where are they? Well, that's the answer. Oh, he's in the grass, and there comes York Marnie. Can he do it? Can he squeeze Boyer of the death? He has to slow up as he tries to find a way past. Surely the run to the line. Does he go left? Does he go right? Well, oh, they're blocking a little bit there. The shortest line of resistance, but Marnie's going to do it on the run to the line with a stable car. And Alessandrini has to settle for 4th. Marnie on the podium overall as your winner in Masters.
Well, Alessandrini, those blocks that he threw coming to the checkered flag were definitely out of pure desperation there. He was desperate to try and hold on to that overall podium, but sadly for him, he falls out. That's utter heartbreak for him. I'm sure he's feeling a bit frustrated with Cabanca after the way things turned out for them. But now it's this man, Benjamin Harris, who's going to take the win in S2 in fairly convincing fashion. That's a pretty big gap between him and Stevens, who's currently running in 15th. There's Harris spinning into the grass and finishing the race in style there. But that was unfortunate. That's utter heartbreak for Alessandrini, who looked like he set up a fantastic race, was falling back a little bit in the late stages, and sadly for him, he is going to fall out of the podium at the very last moment there. Just that final series of corners coming through roller coaster. You've got those hard left-hand corners, and with broken front suspension, you are done for coming through there. And sadly for him, he loses out at the final moment to Manny.
Wow, there comes Paul Stevens across the line. Now, he had an eventful race, but somehow he's second in Spec 2. JJ Bosgood as well for his first time ever on the podium in Spec 2 as well. Congratulations to him and the 247 machine. As we're waiting for him to come across the line. I mean, he's the last driver across the line, but he's secured it because Fernandez, 1 lap down. Let's take a little look back. On board with Marnie. He tried to fight a way through here against Alessandrini. Oh, that was a little bit naughty.
Yeah, that was definitely naughty there, but as I said, that was really just an act of desperation, not really malice. I'm sure Alessandrini was trying to find any way to hold off on that spot, even if it resorts to fairly naughty moves like that. But that's just frustration setting in after a very tough final lap.
Well, what I only realised from that winder camera angle there, Ron, was that Kane Lasky, in fact, nearly stole a place off Alessandrini at the line. Only 8 tenths separating those two. So, wow. I mean, here's some Class 5 results for you. So, Cabanca wins from Hamada in second. York Marnie, winner in Masters and on the podium overall. The second time we've had that happen this season. Alessandrini, in the end, wounded, limping home in fourth, and in fact nearly lost the place there to Kane Lasky. He finished only, well, 2/10, in fact, behind Alessandrini. Jason Green, well, a race that he might want to forget, finishing in 6th, only up 3 places. Antonio Race 2nd in class, Gassius 3rd in Masters. McConnell, 9th. Harris running at your top 10 and winning in Spec 2. And I do believe, I'm just going to quickly scroll through my notes, that's 2 wins from 3 so far this season for Harris. Then we had Jakeson, Coffey, Warbolt, Zerbs. Before we get to Stevens in 15th, 2nd in class, and JJ Bosgood for the first time in his Weekend Warriors career, finishing on the podium in class. Then 1 lap down was Philip Fernandez. Overstreet in 18th. 19th was Tom Laurie, and Sander Varouge running at the top 20. Then into retirement, John Toms, who lost on lap 16. Wenger on lap 3, and Kian Palmer did not make the start. So a quick chat to some of our drivers. First up, I'll tell you, Ron, and you know, I'll let you have the honours. So speaking to our race winner, Christian Kabanka.
Christian Kabanka, thank you so much for joining us. It was a dramatic last lap there involving that incident with Alessandrini. Talk us through that race.
Yeah, I was just spending my whole race saving fuel and didn't really try to overtake anyone. And the moment I did, I screwed it up. Plain and simple. It was totally my fault, and I feel bad. Even though I won the race, I don't really feel great about this victory.
Feels a bit hollow, but I will say that was an absolute send there, and I guess the way I see it, it's better to at least go for the move, knowing that it wasn't the smartest move in the world than just kind of letting it drop there. But still, I want to focus on that last lap there and the move you went there on Alessandrini. What was your thought process as you went for that move and after it?
Well, I didn't think I would get as good of a run as I did, because I didn't really practice overtakes going into turn 1. So at first I wasn't going to make the move, and then I realized I had a better run than I thought, so I did, and I just broke too late and lost the rear end of the car and tried to save it and hit him.
And that was a very tough incident there. I mean, I can't really... I've done a little bit of race stewarding myself, and honestly, the way I saw it, that was just hard racing between you two, but it's just a shame because that was looking to be a very good battle. So in 1 week time, we'll be running at Mosport. How do you fancy your chances there?
I would say reasonably well. I mean, I like Mosport, the track, and I know these guys are competitive, and I just really hope that it's a much cleaner race next time out, and hopefully I don't make any mistakes the next time.
Well, thankfully for you, turn 1 there isn't as heavy of a braking zone as it is here at VIR. Christian, thank you so much for joining us. Anyone you'd like to give thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, just to DJ himself. I'm really sorry. If I get penalized, so be it.
Well, it's definitely a dramatic way to end that race. Christian Kabanka, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you in 1 week's time.
Right, thank you, guys.
Next up, we're joined by York Marnie. York on the podium overall, as well as the winning class. Not a bad day at the office, but I mean, a lot of it decided in these opening stages of the first lap. Just talk us through what happened from your perspective.
Yeah, I was not so quick today, but it doesn't matter. P3 is okay. I suddenly realized somebody crashed somebody out, and then the whining started, of course, and I saw, ooh, I might even be possible to get him. And in the last 2 corners, he tried to block me, and with pure luck that I still survived there. But it was actually fun, and yeah, but it was I was a bit bored all myself the whole race, and I tried to keep steady lap times, good to keep Kane away. And please tell me that I had not the slowest pit stop today. I hope I didn't.
I can briefly have a quick look. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. So you're okay.
Yeah, finally, not the slowest one.
on the slower side, but you didn't have the slowest one. So you're getting there. It's you know, a B plus. I'll give you for that one, my friend. But just looking,
all right.
look, it's you know, definitely an improvement, heading in the right direction. Summit Point later on in the SRFs. Looking forward to that one or not?
Yes, actually I do. It's a quite tough track. It's not going to be very easy racing, especially turn 1. On the opening lap might be a bit tight. I had races with Marco this week already, and that was a lot of fun. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations. 3rd overall in the class victory in Masters. It's a Jorg Marnie. But that is all we've got time for here today. For now, for the Formula Fords coming up in the channel, around about 40 minutes time, as I mentioned there to Jorg. 40 minutes time it is. We're from Summit Point for the SRS. Make sure you're tuning us for that one. Other than that, if you're back for the Formula Fords in a week's time, we will be at Mosport. We'll see you then from Canada. Thank you very much for joining us. I've been Tim Cox with Ron Mounds and Samuli Kumo. I'll see you soon.